Are you there?
Hello?
Is that you, Mr. Gilbert?
Hello?
Hello?
Gilbert here?
This is Barker speaking.
Can you repeat that, please?
Well, might as well open the window and shout on the street.
Hello and welcome to the, we're going to say, first Film Ireland podcast. Yeah, that's right. It's the first of the season. We'll be much more seasonable and regular with them these times, considering we've figured out our demographic. I return to you, Donnchadh Tiernan, after a failed emigration to America. It turns out Hollywood is not a film stronghold anymore, but a street that smells of urine where people try to sell you things. So yeah, that's where I've been. My failed immigration. Luckily, Film Ireland, and they kept a nice little dusty cat flap that I could crawl through. And I've never had to do a podcast on my hands and knees before, but you got to start somewhere. Ruairí Moore, my prone position friend, is sitting in a chair just above me here. Rory, how you doing?
Hands and knees sounds more suited to Hollywood, to be honest.
Where do you think I learned it?
Yeah, no, I haven't.
Calloused
been in
elbows
Hollywood.
I have now.
I have not been in Hollywood. I've been locked in the room since you've gone, and I'm actually quite angry to hear about the cat flap because I didn't know there was a way out.
Have you been fed?
No. But, you know, plaster doesn't taste so bad.
Oh, God, well, you've got a remarkable constitution, I'll give you that. We're going to stick to the regular format here today, except in terms of homework. But if we feel like, we'll just talk about an old movie we've seen recently.
Yeah,
how does that sound?
That works.
Right, so let's go with the usual format. Let's start off with movie news.
Yeah, movie news. Trying to keep it specifically Irish this time because...
except for the other thing that I want to bitch about.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I was about to prelude with was, we had all the Marvel news. We'll get into that, but Marvel features on every single podcast we do. But
I know, and I hate that. And that's what they're doing on purpose, which is why I want to bitch about it right now.
Okay. All right, you want to leave with that? Go for it.
Okay, so Marvel had a big ass, basically, can I say dick measuring? I did, right? So Marvel just grappled right away with the dick measuring competition. They essentially started by flagging their film material in the DC comic universe's face, which they didn't really need to, because let's face it, they outright said that there wouldn't be any laughs in the DC universe. Yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, Marvel has won already. But now they've released their entire...
Sorry, we're being mortared, I think. But go ahead anyway.
They've released their entire film slate as a studio for the next 10 years, which is just...
Did DC not do it first, though?
DC did do it first, and it's just like I thought that was silly. I think this is silly. We've already said that Avengers 3 is going to be in 2 parts with a bunch of stuff I don't care about. I just want to say that I officially, as of now, treat every release with well, except for Avengers 2, with a bit of disdain, because it's just disappointing. I'm sorry, I mean, people could, despite the fact that I love to bitch about the guy, people could take a leaf out of the likes of J.J. Abrams' book, or no, better example, Christopher Nolan, and just keep a few tricks up your sleeve for the moment where you enter that darkened room and then take in your storyline.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're carrying enough in as it is with the expectations of them being adaptations of characters that have been going for decades, so don't tell me...
Everyone knew Mark Miller's Civil War was going to come along eventually. Now we know that they've given it a different name, but like...
No, they've called it Civil War. It was originally something else, and they've just come out and called it Civil War. That's Captain America, yeah. Yeah, no,
I'd like some of the magic reserved personally. It's gone beyond. I've always said, especially when I was talking about Amazing Spider-Man 2 earlier this month, that these are breaking into a different genre of film where they cater specifically for fans. But this is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's what kind of, maybe I'm giving him too much credit here, but I might have mentioned before, I'm a slight fan of Joss Whedon, but I mean, a lot of it is going to be tied down to, my interest anyway is going to be tied down to how much of this he's there
for. How long he stays with them.
Because he's only officially there for the next.
How much they can consistently rotate their charter of talented directors, which they've had fair access to, but like in my book, if you're a talented director, you're going to get a bit sick of this. Like, I don't even think Rian Johnson is going to brave through 2 Star Wars movies. He's got too much of to be honest, an independently adequate movie making soul to be sticking with that sort of nonsense for too long.
I kind of resent the fact that we're going to see directors crop up, make one good film, and then a lot of them are going to be ushered into this studio format, which is a great thing for their careers, but I'd rather see them keep making independent films.
Do you know where that works?
Or not
you know where that sort of mindset works? In the very small the very small big franchise of the Mission Impossible world. Now, I've said it before. I've said it
No,
before.
I understand.
I'm a huge fan of what they do there, because they basically, the films are formulaic. Everybody knows it, but what Tom Cruise, as line producer, does every time, Brian De Palma, John Woo, J.J. Abrams, Brad Bird, and now Christopher McQuarrie, every time he's had a director with an original vision, and they're all very visually original films.
Yeah.
And despite the fact that I thought the second and a half of the third was rubbish, I do admire the originality. That's the place for this sort of nonsense. Rian Johnson, do Mission Impossible. Don't engage in this sort of franchise toy action figure, baby. It'll kill. It'll all come back to that press conference George Lucas and Steven Spielberg had about a year and a half ago, where they said, independent and artistic filmmaking is dead, and here's why.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if it's dead, because I don't know, can this kind of format sustain itself? That's what bothers me about it, is they've committed to making these films up until, what is it, like it's mid-2020s?
Yeah,
if not even later.
My interest won't be sustained, I can guarantee that already.
Yeah. I mean, they have enough money to make all the films, I have no doubt, and they have the fan base for them that people will probably keep going to them, but because they've committed to doing it, they're not commissioning another off the back of the last one being good anymore. It's going to be, oh, this didn't work, let's give this guy. It's kind of like the worst of the Bond movies at this stage. It's like, someone will make it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that kind of bothers me. And even just specifically like Rian Johnson, for the next 6 or 7 years, I'm not going to see a film that he thought of himself, and that bothers me.
And he's one of the the great author these days is Paul Thomas Anderson, but Rian Johnson is certainly one as well. I'm sorry, but except for the bigwigs, I have a massive respect for people who write and direct their own stuff. And when you usher him in to write and direct a Star Wars movie, there's no way J.J. Abrams didn't give him a few post-it notes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not his. So from spiraling out from that, basically, I think we can both agree that this franchise filmmaking is killing independent artists.
You heard it here first. Yeah.
Would it not be just better? You made a great example with the Bond films, or indeed the Mission Impossible ones, where these are essentially producers' films.
Yeah, I think it's going to go the way people are making much of in the last few years, last decade even, of TV now being the home of creativity, and that's where writers are going to do things. And film is actually, specifically.
Speaking of which, Walking Dead. I got it. All right, that's done.
We'll get back to that. But no, I think it's going the way that TV used to be, which was the director isn't there to do anything or innovate. They're there to finish it and hopefully make money off it, and if they don't, it's the next person. No one gives a shit who directed any TV show before the last 10 years, I think.
And that said, Sons of Anarchy.
Out of your system?
Yeah, that's out of my system.
Just sweaty men in general.
Also, you were right, this Hippity's coffee is delicious. Hippity's coffee. Anyway, what else we got on the movie news slate? We've bitched enough about the Americans.
Yeah. Well, one final note on that. Sorry, that's my phone. That's Marvel saying you're never going to get a job in this industry. We've just bought this building. No, the saddest thing about everything we're bitching about there, more than likely we're going to be paying to put our arses in the seats of most of these films.
It's resentfulness towards my future self.
Yeah.
Oh God, I really wish he could appear to me just before, what's it called, Dawn of Justice, and go, you're not gonna like it. I know I'm not gonna like it. Anyway.
But yeah, so I suppose to focus a bit more on the Irish stuff, there's plenty of news. I mean, we could go back through all the months that we've missed, but I'll try and keep it as recent as possible.
Keep it current.
The first one is very biased in that there was a lot of news to pick from, but I picked from this one because it looked really interesting. Brendan Muldowney, who directed Love Eternal recently, it was an award-winning film, shown in the IFI, pretty good one. But he has had a script in development that has now been picked up by a production company called Pilgrimage. I was telling you about this one. It's set in the 13th century.
Oh, yes.
13th century Ireland, about a group of monks who have to escort a relic from the monastery to Rome.
This is brilliant, if only for the fact that the Dark Ages are such an under-filmed era.
Yeah, particularly in Ireland. I mean, the only one I can think of where I saw, I think, oh no, I'm going to have to cash in some form of card here, but Tristan and Isolde, the James Franco one, way back. Well, maybe 6 or 7 years. But that's the only glimpse we've seen of it. That's what I'm saying. That's why I want to get back there.
Film.
Yeah. But, yeah. So.
I'd wipe that from memory. That's nearly 3 hours. Oh, I hated that. Yeah, that's an opera where they changed it to a dialogue. It was originally an opera. Anyway,
yeah.
I'm rubbing it. This to me anyway, sounds fascinating. The only film I can think of successfully based in the Dark Ages, well, no, actually, there was a Sean Bean death recently in the Black Death that was actually pretty good. It's called Black Death.
Yeah, that was just after Game of Thrones, or came out just
I
after.
actually
Yeah,
did really enjoy that film. It got an awful lot of cattiness in the press, and as well the obvious one, Ingmar Bergman.
yeah, Seven Seal. Yeah,
Seven Seal. It's a great movie.
Yeah, I mean,
You heard it here first.
we are current. No, it's been picked up by XYZ Films, which it's going to be a Belgian-Irish co-production. So I'm assuming that's a Belgian production company. I'm not actually sure. But yeah, so it'll be filmed here and in parts of Belgium, starting filming in April next year, I believe. So we need to start growing the beards and shaving the, what you call it, the tonsures?
Oh, I'll do
tonsures,
it.
the monk thing, yeah. And I have a big baggy robe that will do. It's what
Ever
I've been
since
wearing.
trying to keep ahead of Martin Scorsese's, thereby reading that novel Silence, I've just thought monks are awesome.
Yeah.
I've got a real thing for what they got going on. I even saw oh, never mind. No, I'm going to talk about a film from the 70s. Never mind. Okay, we'll keep it current.
No, last monk I enjoyed on screen was
A Bulletproof One, played by Chow Yun-Fat.
no, what the hell is the Mean Machine? Jason
Oh,
Statham
Jason
as well.
Statham.
That's fantastic. He's a silent, contemplative type. But anyway, moving on. Further Irish news. We have the Irish soap opera Red Rock is now officially in production. It's TV3's answer to Fair City, I suppose.
Not to be confused with the 1994 cash-in movie starring Nicolas Cage, Red Rock West.
Now I know that. It's probably based on that now I think of it.
Well, it's TV3.
Yeah.
Anything can happen.
It's... Yeah.
Oh, I'm actually really looking forward to seeing the TV3 incarnation. Like, we've seen their incarnation of a news station, and it is priceless. What's their...
I'm actually really interested. The reason I'm mentioning it
totally.
is because, first of all, it's it's extra work for. I mean, there's been two soap operas in Ireland, and that's the most consistent writing on TV, the most consistent TV program.
One was fairly shitty.
Well, that was just too easy. Red Rock. What can we mock in the name there? Anyway, moving on. It's coming out in January 2015, but the reason I'm actually really interested on it is it's
Red
set
Cock.
in. I was dancing around that like. Anyway, it's set in a police station in Dublin, and it kind of focuses around that, and it starts on the day.
Red Rock is.
Yeah, and it starts on the day of a feud, a long kind of dormant feud between two rival families sparks up again. I know the face you're making. I know what this sounds like, but what's interesting is they look to be trying to make some kind of...
You know what it sounds like as well.
Yeah, but they look trying to make some
It
kind
sounds
of...
like love-hate going CSI.
This is what we do in Ireland, okay? But it's looking to kind of pair soap opera with the kind of a crime of the week format, and I'm really interested to see how that works out, whether or not it's successful. I'm glad that someone is doing something other than just a soap opera. Now, by the very fact that they have this underlying plot, the whole idea of a soap opera is...
First of all, a soap opera doesn't have any seasonal breaks. That's a thing.
And it needs to be sustainable, recyclable. It needs to be going on perpetually. So... I'd be interested to see if they're going to try and develop these plots, or if it's kind of a way in an interesting way to get people to sit down and watch the first season or the first whatever, and then...
I'm not going to be the first. This isn't going to be you heard it here first. This is just going to be a statement. This is going to be rubbish.
You think so?
Oh, it's going to be rubbish.
I don't know.
But I'm definitely going to watch a lot of it, ironically.
Well, you have...
This could be the new Irish painting magic.
You have Jane McGrath, Irish actress. I don't know if you know her. She was in Black Ice most recently, I think. She featured in a role in Game of Thrones. But anyway, she's a great actress, and she will be taking a starring role in it. So,
Oh,
I'm
yes,
interested.
yes. Jane Muppet on the side.
There's Irish star power to it, okay?
Okay, go for it.
Anyway, further news. Oh yeah, this is a great one. I think this is one which should be of particular relevance to us, particularly because you didn't make it in Hollywood. RT are looking for new presenters for... It's kind of a talent search for a new TV show called Swipe TV.
I present things all the time. I present this.
Well, you're not wearing clothes. Yeah. Oh, sorry, that was a radio joke. I should have... Oh, I thought you said when you present this, it was kind of you were opening a robe to me type thing.
No, I was just
Sorry.
presenting the podcast.
I was watching David Attenborough recently. There was a baboon thing about presenting. Leave me alone. Anyway, Swipe TV, it's a digital app and a TV show. The demographic is 7 to 12-year-olds. No, but this is the best part. It's,
Kids love me.
It's going to be about sports. It's looking to aim all facets of the busy 7 to 12-year-olds' lives. But the most interesting part is it's going to be a lifestyle show, part of it. So
About the lifestyle choices of a 7 to 12-year-old. Yeah. Keep away from the Snigger Matthews, kids. For any kids of mine, you remember Snigger Matthews?
Yes, I do.
Those little sweets you get free with Dandy Comics. That's a poor lifestyle choice. Have a piece of fruit.
But anyway, for anyone interested in this, aside from us, I think we've already proved that we are not fit for it. There's more on the RTE
I'm
website.
Fit. I've run 4 marathons.
And you almost go a full day without saying that to me every time. What else? I suppose last bit of news so we can move on. Ripper Street, the Victorian crime drama, which is set in Victorian London but filmed in Dublin, will be back on November 14th. Anyone who follows this probably knows it was cancelled after its second season. It was then picked up by Amazon Prime. Excuse me. And
I actually didn't hate Ripper Street. I was
disappointed to see it go because when I first watched it, I kind of went, there's nothing really outstanding to this besides the fact that it's a really good production design, really good sets, and a good cast.
It was shot quite well, and I like the pulpy stuff when it's done well. And there was 2 episodes of that show I actually quite enjoyed.
There was one episode that was one of the best things I've seen on TV in the last year, which was the one about the Elephant Man.
Oh, it's very good. John
that
Merrick,
was
that was
phenomenal. So I was kind of disappointed to see it go because I felt like it was kind of finding its feet and knew what it was doing.
But they're coming back and they're shooting in Dublin.
Yeah, well, no, it's already shot. It wrapped not that long ago, actually, but it's going to be starting on November 14th.
Oh, rap in Victorian London? That's just not going to work.
Why do you do this?
I said a hip hop.
No.
That's a load of poppycock.
That wasn't that bad. But yeah, it's 8 episodes, but they're not actually following the format of a lot of Netflix shows or online video on demand shows where they just release it all at once. It is going to be a weekly thing. I think it's going to air on Fridays and
on Netflix.
No, on Amazon Prime.
Oh, what?
Yeah, no, they're not one of our sponsors. No.
No.
Oh, okay. Or Netflix. We just prefer Netflix.
Just
That's
prefer
bias.
Netflix.
Yeah.
Well, that's because I
Well, you've paid for Netflix, you haven't paid for Amazon Prime, basically. But yeah, it's going to be 8 episodes, and I suppose the most interesting for me was, like, we were talking there about how there was great potential in it to be as condescending as possible to a TV show. But they're basically the showrunner, Richard Waddell, has I've probably mispronounced that, has kind of spoken about how much more control has been placed in his hands. They've just kind of taken a step back.
And what was it that brought it back? Was it just a general public demand?
Yeah.
Ratings?
Yeah. Like the thing is, the ratings weren't very good at all, but a lot of people attributed that to, I think it was put on opposite The X Factor was on ITV or something, and that is just going to.
I meant to watch The Walking Dead when I ended up first watching Ripper Street, and I just really liked it.
And so it didn't have great ratings, but there was enough of I think there were fan petitions, and I might have even signed one, as I remember, because I am an activist, you know.
Excellent.
And
good for you.
so it was brought back. So I'm just hoping that the season's good enough to warrant it, to keep it going, basically.
Actually, didn't they have a comedian, scholar / actor Stephen Ryan on the set of Ripper Street recently?
They did.
Yeah,
We definitely have photos of that somewhere of him in a monocle, and then they get him in dress up, and he's not allowed to wear the monocle he brought himself or something like that. It's that kind of guy. Anyway, moving on. I think that's all the news.
This podcast is brought to you by Stephen Ryan. Now, in the midpoint, before we get a reviewing, let's bring in. We've got an interview conducted by our very own Paul. By
Paul Farron,
Paul Farron, who interviewed
Dick Pope, the cinematographer,
on Mr. Turner, the latest Mike Leigh release, which we're all very excited about. I've been a fan of Mike Leigh for years, and I understand Mr. Pope has worked with him before. So let's give this interview a blast, and we'll catch you in a few minutes.
Jingle, 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 jingle,
jingle, jingle.
One of the things Mike Leigh liked about what I'd done before, my work, where I'd been, was the documentary aspect of it. Because his films are very observational, and
Of course.
documentaries allow you to be, pretty fluid and flexible in what you do, and the lighting is always source driven, and just the sort of I don't know, that experience was kind of really interested in him more than the drama that I'd done before. So he saw that as being an attribute. In terms of lighting and operating yourself as well. I've always operated the films with Mike, and through my background, it's pretty intuitive, the operating. I mean, I have very strong views on what of how the camera should or shouldn't move, and composition.
Yes.
It all kind of goes right back all those years through the documentary experience, really.
I was going to say, I actually had the pleasure of interviewing Mike years ago, and he has such an unusual approach to how he kind of works to create the subject matter to begin with. In general, I don't know how he worked on Turner, but
same on Turner. He never really, it was the same on Topsy-Turvy, and they were real characters who had existed. Gilbert and Sullivan. So he's never really changes it. He has that long rehearsal improvisation period where they come up with the characters, and they still do. That was the same on Turner, like 4.5 months, something like that, where he works with the actors, which I'm not involved in at all. But I'm in the background testing the look of the film while that's going on.
Which is the scene in the academy, if I'm right, I'm saying,
yes.
is beautiful. And again, I suppose it's the only scene where I really kind of, not that I got pulled out of the film, because I'm a filmmaker myself now. I wouldn't say I'm a great filmmaker, but so I couldn't help but admire what was going on with that scene. I mean, how long did that take to shoot?
Not very long. We were up there. I think we were up there for a week. 5 days, I think we did it in. He had the actors in there before, so it was a big country pile, right?
Yeah.
Almost like an empty, almost abandoned country pile, and up near Sheffield. And they built the Royal Academy. Susie Davis, the production designer,
yes.
built the Royal Academy within this big hall there at this country house, which had a marvellous sort of marble floor. And so it was a build within a country house. I mean, that's really important to Mike, because he's got the freedom then of the whole location.
Yes.
It couldn't just be a build, and anyway, it'd have been exorbitantly expensive, way outside our budget to build that in a studio. But by it being a real location, it gives Mike the opportunity to be able to do anything with the actors, in and out, up the staircase there, where they come up and down the stairs, and Queen Victoria and Prince Albert come up the stairs later on.
That's right.
And then they're in a corridor, and then they're in an ante-room where the second gallery, by it being a real location, allows Mike the freedom to explore all possibilities with the actors. So a set, so to speak, within a studio isn't really possible for him to do his thing within a very constricted space like a stage, where you walk out the door and it's like the crew and all the equipment are there.
The intent of that scene obviously is to give that sense of the kind of hierarchy of the artist and how he kind of fits in with that. I was wondering, what kind of conversations did you have before you went for that? Because I suppose it seemed...
Yes, I mean the location itself was the location itself. The Royal Academy, the build was based on a painting in itself, a painting of the time of that varnishing day at the Royal Academy, with all the artists working on their work, and it showed how they hung it with that 45-degree sloping, the sloping walls, so that everybody could see the paintings clearly from the floor, and it had a very big domed skylight at the top, which lit the gallery from above. So, this location afforded me a gallery, in fact, above, over which I hung my lights, from a mezzanine level, a kind of, like a railed mezzanine atrium level that I could play the lights from up there out of the shot. So, it was all very carefully choreographed and built, and the lighting, we talked for ages about it, I mean, we prepped it for ages.
I read somewhere that a nice critique of your work was that your flair for realism and illumination, spatial composition, and drawing out of the emotional texture. What do you think of that quote?
Well, it's very big. It makes my head swell. I am a slave to source lighting, and when I first saw that, say the Royal Academy, talking about that, when I first saw the painting from the early 1800s, I think it was, I could see clearly the skylight at the top, and knew that I was going to light it from there, and so I was true truthful, I suppose, into the way it really actually had been, the way it was. And I approach everything like that. My lighting it goes back to documentary stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, music videos, anything at all. And I learned my lighting in music videos, actually, really. That was great learning place for me to learn to use lots of lights in studios and everything. But the documentaries taught me to be truthful and honest about where the light came from, and it sort of gave me a sort of I like naturalism and realism.
Mm-hmm.
It may be somewhat heightened, of course, because it isn't a documentary that we're shooting. So I use quite a lot of lights, really, but all of them are there to try and make a natural, unobtrusive feel to it.
As you would say, kind of, you don't want to draw the attention to itself while you're watching it as such, isn't that the kind
Yes, that's right. It's kind of, I try and make it interesting and obviously emotionally correct of what we're trying to draw out of every scene. And that's not only mine, but that's every director I work with. I'm looking for the truth, I suppose, the truth within a scene, to photograph it, to heighten that emotion.
Yes.
It's not just light; it's light that's sculpted to light and shadow to draw, to allow the characters to act in the environment that is right for the scene.
Jingle, jingle.
Jingle, jingle.
Jingle, jingle.
Jingle, jingle.
Jingle, jingle.
Jingle, jingle. Here we are. We're back. We're going to be reviewing some films for you now. Seeing as it's been so long since I've been away, I didn't really actually do much cinemaing at all when I was in America, except I saw The Guest, which is fantastic.
Still haven't seen it, actually.
Go and catch a blast at that. But just yesterday, I went for a double bill to try and catch some up. I'll be going for another one tonight, I think. But just last night, I saw. Let's see how you did. It's been out ages, but feck it, it's Irish, kind of. 71? You seen 71?
Yes, yeah.
71, I really enjoyed that. It's
Irish-ish.
been a great year for Jack O'Connell.
Yeah.
And a great anti-war movie, it's got to be said. I think you could remove politics completely from that situation, from that film, which is something that American critics said about Hunger, but I completely disagreed with. But I don't think 71 need to be viewed through a political lens at all.
Yeah.
It's just, what's the line in the film that your cousin uttered? Oh no, it's not your cousin.
Not my cousin. We're disavowing that. He is not a sponsor of this podcast. Yeah, it's a great line. What is it? They're describing the whole scenario, the whole idea of the Troubles, the whole struggle there, and it's posh telling thick to kill poor which is so basically.
Or as Steve Earle said about the Iraq War, just another poor man off to fight a rich man's war.
Which was more. Why didn't we go with that? I just said the C word on.
But lads, this seems to be getting as is the par for the course, except seemingly for Jimmy's Hall with the even slightly Irish release. They do well in Ireland and they stay in the cinema for ages. This is still most of the cinemas around the country. Very, very tense. Jack O'Connell is not as good as in Start Up, but he's once again really, really showing up.
I suppose a quick notion of the plot. He basically plays an English soldier who gets caught behind. I don't even want to say behind the enemy lines, but that's essentially what it is.
Yeah.
Along the Falls Road in Belfast in 1971.
Over the course of a night.
Yeah, and it's just about him kind of trying to survive, and I suppose
getting to know either sides of the conflicts. Really.
Yeah,
there's as much
factions.
tension and violence as you'd expect, but it is.
It's a chase movie essentially. You could transplant this anywhere, and it would be as good, I think.
It's very much the film it reminded me most of was Paul Greengrass's Bloody Sunday.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what I favoured most about this film is everyone you see, just because we're the more sympathetic side, every film you see about the North conflict seems to come from the Irish side. And once you switched it to the side of a young British soldier, it lost all its gung-ho sensibility, and it kind of granted it an objectivity that I've not yet seen before. No matter what film I watch about the North, I know which way I'm rooting, always.
Yeah, I don't think what I really liked about it, what I was worried about it going in,
even
was
Hunger has gung-ho.
Well, yeah, but I thought this would be kind of jingoistic going in that it was just going to be either the Irish were going to be portrayed as villainous and the Catholics, I suppose, and the IRA portrayed as villainous, or it was going to be just a really po-faced commentary on, aren't the English terrible? But it's not that at all. It's everyone is terrible in this in a way, and some people aren't terrible, but it's not about the factions. It doesn't make a political comment, and it's not trying to, I don't think. specifically to that context anyway.
Right, let's build first of all, another... So, yeah, 71, definitely go see it.
One of the best films I've seen in a long while, yeah.
Right, talk to me. Gone Girl. I've read the book, I've not seen the film. I love David Fincher.
Yeah,
I love Rosamund Pike. What casting she was.
Yes, I wanted to wax poetic about this, but you haven't seen it, so I'll be a little vaguer than I was going to. But yeah, you've read the book. I assume the plot is the same. It's basically about this...
woman goes missing. Man kind of held as a suspect a bit, but something's not quite right.
Yeah.
The film, the book is written chapter for chapter in either one of their diaries, leading up to the event in the middle of the book, and then after the event.
Yeah, the way the film's kind of set out is it begins on the morning of her disappearance. Basically, you have, I think his name is Nick Dunn, played by Ben Affleck. Yeah. Just wakes up one morning, goes to the bar, comes back, and someone has very clearly been wrecking his house, gone through it, and his wife is missing. There's blood on the wall, this kind of thing. So he calls the police. And basically the police's unfolding investigation, where he inevitably becomes a suspect, is intercut with his wife's diary entries. Voiceover, she's played by Rosamund Pike, who's fantastic in this.
I think she's fantastic in everything. I'm a huge fan
but
of
this
her.
is the first time I've seen her. Like I think the reaction she kind of got in the States because of it was people were like, "Who the hell is she?" Because she's British, isn't it?
Rosamund Pike is. I would argue as well, which is exactly what you needed for this role.
As you say, things aren't quite what they seem. There's a bit of a twist, maybe 2/3 of the way through. But I suppose the film's best merit is I kind of saw the twist coming, but it's the way it unfolds and the way it ends. Now, I remember I was with you when you finished that book and you... I
threw it at the wall.
Yeah. And so I was like, all right, I must read that. I still haven't, but I'm not sure if the book ends the same way. I don't know how much I should go into it on the podcast for people who haven't seen it, but it's definitely worth seeing.
Is it up there with Fincher's best?
Well, I mean, Fight Club and
Social Network are where I'm at it.
Yeah, it has the same kind of slick style as the Social Network, but that's, I mean, if I wanted to read into
Seven.
it,
Gotta mention Seven.
Yeah, Jesus,
that's a different era of Fincher, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I had issues with it in that this twist. Also, you kind of have to be on board with changing the tone of it, because initially it's about...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like it's relentless kind of how cosmetic and superficial people can be in relationships. Like they're the perfect poster couple, and you get the sense that there's not that much underlying it, and this kind of thing. That's all done very well, and that he shoots it really slickly and really like beautifully. So there's this cosmetic feel to it, but. I don't want to say too much. It kind of turns into a comic book movie for like the last third. Just put it this way: if there were a sequel, I would expect to see Rosamund Pike's character featuring. It would be like Ocean's 11 versus Rosamund Pike's character, or the Avengers versus Rosamund Pike's character.
That's the thing. Two people have said to me now, it's like, oh, it's cool the way they left it open for a sequel. And having read the book, I was like,
no, I don't feel that there's a sequel. But that's what I mean. If there were to be one, it would have to follow on from that shift of tone. It would be a very different film to how this film starts. But I will say, Ben Affleck, I wasn't really optimistic going into it because I watched the trailers and I thought that there was a plot point. I was going in as blind as I could. I thought there was a plot point that he was maybe a little bit socially inept. Because part of the reason he comes under suspicion...
He's a bit of an Egypt.
Yeah, part of the reason he comes under suspicion is he doesn't seem to be as distraught as he should be. He smiles in front of his wife's missing poster for photos, poses with people, this kind of thing. So I thought he was either a sociopath or not fully there, and neither. He is quite good in this, but... yeah, he's not. Basically...
Anyway, we shouldn't dwell too long on this because most people have probably seen it. But
bottom line is everyone in this is insufferable in the best possible way. Anyway.
Before we tackle the biggie of the week, you've seen The Guarantee, have you?
I have, yeah. I think it's been out a good while this stage.
I'll do Nightcrawler then.
A week and a half.
Interstellar.
Yeah, The Guarantee is basically a look at the run-up to the Irish banking collapse and the night in, I think it was September 2008, when the government decided to guarantee the banks. It's based on a play by Colin Murphy called Guaranteed, which he also adapted for the film, directed by Ian Power. I liked it in that it was trying to tackle this in a dramatic way. I mean, documentaries, I'd love to see a documentary on this subject, which I'll come back to, but I feel like if you want to educate, I'm using air quotes here, people about this financial crisis, because not many people know the minutiae of it. I certainly don't. Like, I've read around it. I think drama is the best way in, but I suppose the problem with this film is that it tries to be drama and documentary. It tries to be factual and show how much it knows while still providing a human story, and it doesn't really, because of that, it gets pulled between both.
I find Richard Linklater already failed at that with Fast Food Nation, which was a non-fiction book which starred Greg Kinnear.
Actually, I won't. But I won't go into this film particularly. But you recommended Margin Call to me, and I actually watched that before this. Margin Call is the way that this film should have been done.
Margin Call is excellent.
Yeah, but see, Martin Call, it's a fictionalized firm, isn't it?
It is, yeah, but it's Goldman Sachs.
Yeah, but this is
finest Jeremy Irons performance I've ever seen.
Yeah. Zachary Quinto, isn't it?
Yeah.
But anyway, the guarantee basically is you have Gary Lydon plays Brian Cowan. You have, I think, David Murray playing Brian Lenihan, and he's the best thing about this film. He's phenomenal in it. Although you're obviously going in with the baggage of knowing that Brian Lenihan is dying at this time, or is soon to be dying.
I really want to see this film.
Definitely, I would definitely go see it because I'd be interested to see what you think. My issue with it was it's quite low budget, I think, but you can't hold that against it. But because of that, there's a really artificial. I feel like there was a chance to shoot this in not grungy offices, obviously they're banks, but shoot them in real offices. But what they did was they hired out a soundstage, I don't know where, but you have these press conferences that are backlit, and the camera's swooping in slowly as someone's speaking, and it's applying such.
Is it well written?
It's Colin Murphy definitely knows what he's on about, and I'd love to see the play. It doesn't work in the film because
Colin Murphy,
not the comedian, no.
Right.
I don't think so. I'm nearly certain it's not the comedian. But basically, you can tell he knows what he's talking about. You can tell that there's a good film or a good documentary in there somewhere. But the problem with it is, it just layers too much melodrama on, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely go see it, see what it's like.
Out of an Irish interest in the subject, I would, and I think I will go to see that.
And I'd love to see Colin Murphy or someone, obviously with the knowledge that they approached this film with, do a documentary. Because it would be very interesting. But anyway.
No, I want to approach...
Nightcrawler, wasn't it?
I want to approach the bench, yeah, with Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler is the story of Jake Gyllenhaal's character, Lou Bloom, okay, and he is essentially he's a very uncomfortable watch from the start, and he gains a profession in basically listening in on a police radio and getting to scenes of violence before
the emergency services
before the emergency services or anybody, if he can, or before other reporters, and to sell the footage, right? Now, it's written and directed by Dan Gilroy, who's Tony Gilroy's brother, Bourne Films, and that. So he has had it's good because he's been in Hollywood working around for a while, and he's had a bit of time to grunge out this very specific storyline, and it's very impressive how it all came together. Now, first of all, you'll hear a lot of talk about Jake Gyllenhaal's performance, which is brilliant. It's not his best. Check out the Film Ireland website for my run through on his top 5 best performances. It's not his, but he's very, very good in it. Because you're wondering, I'd love to see an origin story for this character, for Lou Bloom. He picks up a young apprentice to help him out, and he starts a very close working relationship with a news network head played by Rene Russo, who's in turn both fascinated and disgusted by this guy. And now, tension amped up at all times, especially when he gets to crime scenes before the police, because he drives erratically and crazy in it. Now, if you've seen any films at all, you won't be able to get a half hour into this without wondering, is this just a generational remake of Taxi Driver and what the themes mean? And it very may well be, but it's also one of those staring into the abyss films as it stares back out at you about voyeurism and violence and society's fascination with it. It's an uncomfortable watch. It's thrilling, but at the same time it knots in your stomach, because there was a lot of laughing in the cinema I was in, and it is funny, but from a certain angle you can't help but feel like you're the film's subject. Essentially, your society is what inspired it, because no matter how Lou Bloom disgusts you, and he will disgust you, he's a product of the world we live in, and live in quite actively, and that's the thing. I mean, what is it on the television show Peep Show? Jeremy once on a date says, I know it was bad, but wasn't 9/11 the best news ever? It was the best news ever. Yeah. And it's going at that, and there's no two ways about it. And he knows all it. Lou Bloom, his character, knows all this, his stats in it. Now, there's a number of fair plays in it, but I don't know who shot this film. I must look it up, because they did an excellent job.
I'm pretty sure it was a heavyweight cinematographer. I can't remember who, but
it
brought me very much to mind of Nicholas Winding Refn's LA in Driver, because it's set in LA. But Dan Gilroy, all credit to him. He's Rene Russo's wife, which is maybe how he got such a great performance out of her, but she's very good in it. I really enjoyed her in it. Jake Gyllenhaal stealing all sorts of shows with it. He is all you'll hear about. Essentially, it's I don't know, I hate saying things like this, but it does feel like the offspring of Taxi Driver and Paul and Pressburger's Peeping Tom. It's not as good as either of those films. It is very, very good. An uncomfortable watch. If you take your cinema seriously, I'd really recommend this.
Would it be up there in one of your top 10s this year, say?
Of the year? I'll need first of all, I'll need a second watch to see because it completely disgusted me, quite frankly. Like with the film Shame, I wasn't able to realize how much I loved it till I watched it the second time. But this one took a bit of processing in me, and I'll definitely see it again, because the one overwhelming feeling, no matter how sick I felt during it and stuff, the second the credits rolled, I was like, no, I want more of that.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I mean, does that sense of sickness come from, like, I haven't seen it, I should establish, but I'm mad to, but I'm actually kind of glad. I was going to go see Gone Girl and then go straight into Nightcrawler, and I think
that would have been a cracking double bill by the sound of things.
I would have had to drag myself into this room, I think, to even speak to another human being by the sounds of it. But it kind of sounds like, I think it was you I was talking about this. Remember when Saddam Hussein was executed? And people were sharing the video, and I was like, I don't want to watch that. But a part of me, so many times, very nearly clicked it.
I did.
And but it's just that impulse to kind of, like, you might say.
I felt sick afterwards, but I did watch it.
Yeah, like, this feels like a pulpy kind of Patrick Bateman style of
I saw all the Jennifer Lawrence pictures. I can't help but click.
And it's that kind of part of ourselves that we don't really like to acknowledge. I am mad to see this now, but is it going to kind of get too much credit on the side of Jake Gyllenhaal? Like, the first thing I saw was set photos, right, Jake Gyllenhaal skinny.
The reason that they haven't aimed for award season with this is because I find it very unlikely that they will give him an award, because people will present the exception to the rule to this as either Heath Ledger's the Joker or Denzel Washington. They don't give awards to dislikable characters on this level. Maybe they do it in Cannes. They do. Mike Leigh's Naked, David Thewlis one for Johnny, a deplorable character. But I don't care who you are. Everyone loves the Joker and everyone loved Denzel in Training Day. Lou Bloom will make you feel physically ill.
Okay.
And
that sounds delightful.
But he's brilliant in it. But I don't think I don't think this is going to be an awards claimer personally. I think it cut too close to the underbelly of Hollywood.
Do you reckon it's going to make much money? Like, is
yes,
this kind of thing that...
absolutely, yes. If they and I have seen it advertised everywhere, and I really think it will.
Yeah, I'm mad to see it.
So talk. The big one.
Oh, yeah, the one we've been hedging around that you slept in for.
I slept in for the press screening of this. I don't want to talk about it.
This is going to be a conversation, but instead it'll be me talking with you with your hands over your ears, presumably. But yeah.
No, I want to hear what you think of this, personally.
Again, I'll hedge around like I did Gone Girl. Interstellar, Christopher Nolan's latest. It's been, as with Christopher Nolan's films, I didn't even go near, say I saw you reading the Empire feature on it. I don't go near any press for Christopher Nolan films anymore. I just want to...
I don't get in and go near Empire. I just read Film Ireland.
Sorry.
Go on anyway.
That was a print off a hard copy of Film Ireland. Anyway, I went in completely blind, but bar the trailers maybe, but there's always going to be a certain amount of expectation. I saw it in IMAX, not 3D, because he hates 3D. Yeah, I went in with expectations of something that would be visually gorgeous, but also, say we were talking that Christopher Nolan, he got a physicist, an astrophysicist, Kip Thorne, on as an executive producer. He was going to get, and
a consultant.
Yeah, down and dirty into the science of it as well.
By all accounts, he spent 4 years studying the physics of it.
Yeah, I mean, it
was originally conceived as a Steven Spielberg project over a decade ago.
Yeah, I heard that, but this has been in the works for years, basically, and signed on Matthew McConaughey actually before Matthew McConaughey kind of has the fame now. Yeah, I always forget that word. Anyway, I'll get past all that. A quick synopsis of the plot, I suppose. Matthew McConaughey plays Cooper, who is a farmer working in near future Earth. It's not really specified when, but it's not that far ahead. There are hints made to there having been a food crisis and people killing one another over food, but things have stabilized again. And basically Matthew McConaughey is part of what they call a caretaker generation, where they're growing food. That's where the only money is, and that's what they're told to do. They need to basically keep the civilization, or keep the population stable, keep the earth alive, and just kind of rebuild, I suppose. And he's very much against this because he used to be a test pilot for NASA before things got bad, I suppose. So there's that quintessential line from the trailer. We used to look up and wonder at our place in the stars. Now we worry about our place in the dirt. Those kind of themes. Basically, he's raising two kids, one of whom, the young Murph, his daughter, is played by Mackenzie Foy. She's fantastic in this. But anyway, basically he ends up being recruited on this kind of Hail Mary mission to enter this wormhole that has appeared
Yeah.
by Saturn and find another habitable planet. And it gets down again. It gets really heavy in with the physics of it. The whole idea of time dilation, relativity. Basically, the further he goes from Earth and the faster he travels away from Earth, the more time passes on Earth as it slows down for him.
Yeah.
So he might only be gone for 3 years, and it might equal
30.
Yeah. So there's this whole idea of he can't guarantee his family when he's coming back. It jumps around a bit in time. But I suppose, I'll just get down to the effects. Space in this is gorgeous. It's very much like Stanley Kubrick's Space, where you've just big, wide spacescapes and soft orchestral music playing over it. It kind of falls down for me. There are fantastic moments in it, a lot of which I'll attribute to Mackenzie Foy, Jessica Chastain.
How long do they spend before they get into space?
Actually, it takes its time. It's almost 3 hours, I think.
That's right. It's
2 hours and 50.
66 minutes.
Yeah. So you're actually looking at nearly an hour, I think,
Before you get into space.
which I was a bit antsy about, but I appreciated it as the film went on.
And how long until you get? No, I wouldn't have been antsy about that. I wouldn't have liked it rushed at the start.
Yeah.
And how long until they get onto a planet? Let's say.
Once it gets past that bit on Earth, it ticks on fairly quickly from there.
What's the third act? Is it satisfying? I've heard it's bizarre.
This is my issue with it, and again, I'm not going to go into spoilery details because you haven't seen it and people listening probably haven't. It's uneven. There are some thematic things that they focus on that they do really well, particularly this idea of a certain amount of time passing for Matthew McConaughey's character and more time passing on Earth, and the idea of is he going to save his kids and that generation, or are they going to secure a planet for future generations? Can he cut all ties?
Better than Inception?
I'd put it on par.
Okay.
We were talking about this with Christopher Nolan's films. You go in the first time, you watch them,
You emotionally engage.
yeah, and then the more you watch them, they kind of that wears off for me. With this is the first one I've come out where I felt that already.
Recommend?
Yes, like I said, it's rocky.
I'm going to go see it in IMAX, and we're going to have a conversation about it at the next podcast.
Yeah. Like I said, it's
Once everybody on the planet Earth has seen it, like.
Yeah, I could talk about this till I'm blue in the face, but basically it's really rocky. There are fantastic parts, particularly down to Matthew McConaughey. There are other parts where I feel like, despite the fact that it's 3 hours long, it could have taken a breath and focused on other things. It's like a lot of his
Could have
films.
been longer.
Maybe, or just had certain.
I don't mind longevity when it comes to big films like that. I mean, the right stuff is one of my all-time
Absolutely.
favorites.
Like going into this, I was saying, even if it's thematically unsatisfying and the actors are terrible, if I'm sitting in front of an IMAX screen in 3 hours worth of space, I'm happy. But yeah, it falters a bit for me. But I know a lot of people walking out of the same screen as me adored it. So I'll be interested to see what people think. I think I was going in with too much weight of. I've seen Christopher Nolan's films so many times that maybe his focus on, I suppose, head over heart kind of doesn't sit well with me a lot of the time.
What's your film of the week?
Film
of all the ones we talked about.
Of all the
today.
ones we talked about today.
So it doesn't need to necessarily be released this week.
Gone Girl, probably.
Gone Girl.
Yeah, I'll give a quick shout out before we go. I won't review The Skeleton Twins. Have you heard of this?
I have, yeah.
Bill
Bill
Hader,
Hader
Kristen
and
Wiig. Yeah.
Kristen Wiig.
Not at all what you think. Nothing groundbreaking. It's this kind of quirky thing about two twins who something happens in their past. They spend 10 years without seeing one another, and then they both try and kill themselves on the same day, like different sides of the country. So they kind of reunite, and she's looking after him, and it's just kind of. It sounds like the bare bones they're reconnecting after all this time kind of film, which it is, but it has enough.
Sounds like relatively okay. And do you fair? I'd give it a shot.
Yeah, that's the thing. But what kind of elevates it above that is you have Luke Wilson, who's very good in it. Kristen Wiig and Bill Hader obviously have this chemistry from SNL, and I can't remember his name. The guy who plays Phil Dunphy in Modern Family. He's in it too, in quite a dramatic role, and he's very good. But I won't say any more.
Well, my film of the week is going to be Nightcrawler, but I'd like to give another shout out that next week, I'll be reviewing Donald Foreman's Out of Here, but I'm going to leave that off for the moment just because I'm interviewing him, and that is going to be included in the next podcast.
In about 20 minutes, you're interviewing
about-
him, which is why you probably need to
about,
go.
In about now, actually.
Yeah.
Right, my film of the week, though, is going to be Nightcrawler. But let's start the homework again. I'm going to recommend you a film that I know you haven't yet seen and needn't be thematic. I'm just going to say watch Paul and Pressburger's Peeping Tom.
Yes. This isn't fair. You told me this beforehand. What will I recommend to you? What have I seen recently? Watch The Seventh Seal again, actually.
Okay.
I want to talk more about. I'm going to rewatch it.
You're on.
this
I'm going to watch
particular
Peeping Tom too, as well. Okay, well, I'm going to just put my clothes on and out through the cat flap, get Rory some food.
I'm going to go back to my nest here.
We'll see you all as soon as we can. We'll figure out a more regular slot, but thanks a million for listening, and be good, lads.
Bye-bye now.